everyone, welcome back to The Layout, the Union Pacific Railroad Evanston subdivision in HO scale. My name is Daryl Cruz, owner and builder of The Layout, and your host for episode 21 of season 2024. This video and update features the first bridge over the Weber River and part of the Weber River Canyon. Had a lot of fun this week building this bridge and putting it in. Had a lot of engineering to do it and was very happy with the way it's turned out. You're looking at also right now the members of the channel. Want to shout out to all of them and thank them for their support of this channel and the support of for the railroad. So thank you so much. Before we get to the layout, though, we have been having a lot of cicadas here. And you're hearing my lawnmower in the background. That's not the cicadas making that noise. But we have been having an infestation of cicadas. Hopefully they'll be gone in a couple weeks. All right, back to the bridge over the Weber River and part of the Weber River Canyon. And here is Google Maps, which is always a good place to start on doing research. You can have a very interesting view here where you can kind of see the grades and so forth. Isometric map, and you can can't really see too well in the video, but there are actually altitude markers and so forth, so very good to have this type of a view so you can kind of get an idea of what the actual shape of the mountains are. But right now we're looking at this bridge right here that crosses the Weber River, and this is the one I'm trying to replicate. You can see there's three sections here, double track for each section. You have a middle section that's a little bit longer, and then you have two sections on each end that are a little bit shorter. You have some piers. One's in the water, one's on land. Wasn't able to quite replicate that part of it. But very interesting bridge. Here you can also see this concrete ties, but at the end of the bridge there is a section of wood ties that separates, and of course wood ties going across the bridge. While I was there, I didn't realize this, but there's a maintenance road here we could have gotten off to the shoulder and got that little maintenance area there. Could have got some really good pictures. Could have maybe even stopped at the shoulder there and just took pictures from the shoulder. For right now, though, I live about 1,000 miles away, so instead we use Google Maps to take a look and see what we're modeling. And here you can kind of get a view of the bridge. You can't see much as far as the piers go and everything. So I really wish I was able to walk up to the guardrail there and get a lot better picture. But this is all we have for right now. But you can see there's the three plate girder bridges that go across the Weber River. I'm kind of moving here to get a little bit different view and then zooming in. So you have the three sections. Again, the one in the middle is the longer one, and then the two shorter ones on each end. So this is what I'm trying to replicate. I'm able to get a good idea of the color of the bridges, and then what type of bridges they are. They are definitely plate girder bridge. Also able to take a look at some of the vegetation around it. Going to have a lot of trees here. Now the bridges that I chose to use for this is one by Central Valley Model Works. This is a 72-foot double track plate girder bridge. It's a kit, and it comes with ties, but not the actual rails. And then for the shorter ones, I use this Walther's kit. This is like a 50-foot, I believe, or maybe even a little bit shorter. Again, double track, and these line up with each other real well. They're almost exact matches, and they also come with the ties, but not the rails. So we'll have to put in our own rails for this. I'm not going to show you the whole process of putting these together. It was a lot of fun putting these together, um, and you can kind of see how it all works. You have the bracing and the girders fit in there and everything, and then you have the ties that go on there. Here's the sprues. That's the Walther's kit. It's basically 2 different sprues for each kit. The Central Valley Works has 3 sprues, a little bit more compact. And they're both very close to each other in how they're designed and constructed. And here's the instructions for the Walther's kit, their cornerstone kit. Pretty easy to follow. I had a lot of fun. This is I got some Atlas ones also. I'm going to probably use these somewhere else, or maybe sell them. I'm not sure if I'm going to use them. The Atlas bridges, they were too close together. They probably more for a steam era. The 2 tracks were way closer together. This kit is screwed together, believe it or not, and then snaps together. That was very quick to put that together, and it came out to look pretty good. Here's the Central Valley Model Works instructions. A little bit more detail and everything. Here's a detail and so on. But it was a fun time putting these together. So here we have all 3 of the bridges just setting on the track there, kind of figure out where they're gonna go, and then you can see they come with the ties, and then you have to put your own rail in. Now, if you notice, they're not the same height as far as the ties go, so had to make some adjustments on the height for the shorter bridges compared to the height of the center bridge. And this is where it's going to cross. I decided to just put it straight, center it across the river, and that way both piers are not actually in the water. Here you can kind of see some of the detail, and you can also see how it lines up with the track I already have. I use 2-inch centers, and it matches up almost perfectly on here to what I have. The Central Valley is a little bit, just very slightly wider than the Walther's kits, but it works out well. So here I'm trying to figure out where exactly I'm going to have to cut this wood. And you can see here I put some little pencil marks there. I've removed the track also. There's a piece of that one. It had a feeder wire soldered to it, so I didn't remove it completely, but I did kind of push it out of the way. Here's the pieces of track that I removed, and the bridge ready to go in. So I went ahead and cut where I had marked it, and I cut the roll bed first with a utility knife, and then I cut the plywood with a jigsaw. Try to cut it as straight as possible and not disturb the roll bed at all. That's roll bed by Hobby Innovations. Has a little bit higher profile than cork roll bed. All right, now here I'm gluing on some pieces of wood that is going to form the base here of the bridges. This is the 2 bases for the piers in the middle, and then the base for the other end. Now I knew that the 2 ends were not going to be the right height, so I had to put in some extra in there in order to get it to lie flat. So you want the braces there of the bridge to be flush with the roadbed. I don't have it on there. Okay, there you go. So I got it pretty flush on both of them. I just used different pieces of styrene that I had. I ended up with some balsa wood. Now here I was trying to get the pier the right height, and I just put a 1x3 board across there. I cut it to exactly the right length so that it would actually fit on the supports there. And then I took this kit and I put it upside down and then marked it as far as, you know, where it's supposed to go, where it's supposed to be cut. So you see a pencil mark there where it's supposed to be cut, but then I had to take into account the bridge shoes, and it almost makes it to the pre-cut section on the kit. And I didn't want to, I just cut it where the pre-cut was and kind of then went from there. Now I noticed after I did that the top of it, of the pier, has a little lip there. So I actually needed to take into account for that. So I should have put the pier piece in there like this, which I did do for the second pier, and then put a mark on the back of it. But when it was all said and done, I was able to get the piers at the right height so that it would be a nice level track going across. So the goal here is, as the train goes across this bridge, there's no deviation on the track. The track just goes evenly across the bridge, so you don't have any abrupt changes as it goes from the roadbed to the track. So they had to take a little bit of it, and then once it's on the bridge, it doesn't go up and down. So I want to get everything as level as possible and fitting as well as possible. As you can see here, I have the smaller bridges, the bridge shoes on the pier are on a piece of styrene to get them at the same height as the center bridge. So everything was looking pretty good. Then I glued some rail. This is code 83. Glued rail onto the ties. Now the Central Valley Works has something where you're supposed to use a punch to bend these little plastic pieces over the rails to hold it on, but I just used super glue and glued it on. And I also installed some rail joiners that are going to have to be connected to the existing track. After I did that, then I painted the track a dark brown, and it was nice that these ties for the Central Valley and also the Walthers were exactly the same size and same width, so they matched up real well. And I taped the ends because I didn't want paint on the rail joiners that were going to connect to the existing track. Now here you see I also painted the bridge silver, and then I also, after the silver had dried, I also painted it with some clear matte. The silver, or actually the paint I used was aluminum, so it had kind of a metallic shine to it, and so I had to paint it with a clear matte so that it wasn't shiny. Alright, so here it's back on the layout and making sure everything lined up well. Now it turned out on this side, it actually, once I got the track together, there was a little bit of unevenness on this side where the bridges connect to the roadbed. One thing I did is I also, for these piers, I kind of sanded off or filed off the corners. You can see the one on the right is just after being assembled. The one on the left is after filing it. So wanted to make sure that the had a little bit, didn't have those sharp corners. These are supposed to represent concrete, and you don't have those types of sharp corners with concrete very often, especially after weathering and so forth. All right, so here I have everything off. Now, if you look closely, I did change the left side here. Instead of the balsa wood, I put in some strips of styrene. It was a little bit too high on one side. All right, then I had some masking there in place because I wanted to paint the abutments and the piers concrete color. And so here we have everything in and lined up. You have everything painted. Definitely will need to do some weathering on these piers and abutments and the bridge itself. But right now I just wanted to get it installed so that everything was aligned properly and ready to carry trains across. Now when I do the scenery next week, I'll of course remove the bridge, take the track off and remove the bridge and then do the scenery, and then I'll be able to put it back on after the scenery's in place. But everything looks pretty good. I like this, got a lot of detail. You can see the braces through the ties and on the ends. So very happy with the way this looks. It's not really a super exciting bridge, you know, it's basically just a set of plate girder bridges, but it's what's on the prototype, so it definitely will be something that I think will look good. Now next week I'm going to be doing scenery all through here, and I'm going to try to get all the way done to about right here. Not going to go over the river here because I have another bridge to put in there. So just past the tunnel. So I want to get both tunnels done, and that mountain there in between, the Taggart Mountain and everything. So that's going to be kind of an interesting thing. Hopefully I'll have the forms put in and some plaster and have it all ready to go for painting and so on. Going to be doing some rock molds also next week, so a lot of exciting things to look forward to. All right. Of course, once we get anything done, we have to have the trains go across. This is probably the most satisfying part of having a model train layout, is adding something new and then having the trains go by. Last couple of weeks has been the crossings at the just east of Evanston. Now we have trains going across the newly built and installed bridge. Looks pretty cool. There just so happens to be two trains coming at the same time here. This is a local. The first one was, of course, the Big Boy and FEF excursion train. This is just a simple local going across. Now, one thing if you watch closely, there's no change of grade. It's pretty smooth all the way across. You don't have any up and down motion or side to side. It's very, very smooth. So very happy with the way it turned out. Did take some fiddling. I had to file down one of the brake shoes to make sure it was at the right height. But I got it all to come together nice. Now we got to see some coming in the other direction. You have to kind of picture this with terrain in there. I'm going to use the Google Maps. If you remember those pictures I had, and Probably going to use the Google Maps for the backdrop here. Try and get some of the exact pictures from this area and get some photo backdrops made for that. Should be pretty cool. All right, here we have another local coming through. Watch again how it goes across. No undulations. Nice and straight. It's one thing about doing modern Class 1 railroading. Actually, any kind of Class 1, even older Class 1s. But if you're doing the Class 1 railroads, you pretty much have to make sure everything's as perfect as possible. And I haven't got everything perfect, but I try. That's the goal, is to get everything as perfect as possible, because that's the way the prototype is. If you're modeling a short line, you have a lot more flexibility. Or a older, almost bankrupt railroad, you have a lot more flexibility in having things not exactly perfect. But if you're doing Class 1, especially modern, you need to try and get it as perfect as possible. And I'm real happy with the way this turned out. All right, next week, scenery. Definitely something to look forward to. And I really appreciate everybody watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe and comment. And I just really appreciate everybody. And have a great rest of Sunday and a great week coming up. Take care, everybody.